welcome to another episode of Chatty Broads with Becca and Jess.
Welcome back, Mr. Grayston.
Welcome back, Mr. Evan.
We are back. Now, I think it's safe to say we're a household name.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, you can't get rid of us. The problem is love us or hate us, we're here.
Well, also, you have the keys to this place.
I know someone
Yeah.
who pays for this place.
You can't keep us out.
So, I can get in when I need to get in. You know, go to bed, sleep next to you, and then do a little, is she awake? And then get up, slide out. And we're in the studio. I call my boy, we're in the studio.
Yeah, dude, we're here. And they can't stop us. And that's,
Okay, well, it's over.
Thank you that it's over.
Yeah, and I am grateful that we have been recapping a couple episodes because it allows our tiny brains to wrap enough around and get it. But like, if it wasn't for that, I feel like I'd be lost half the time.
I'd be so lost. And I would be like, I feel like I'd be seesawing between so many feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. It allows us to just pierce through. We're just a straight and narrow arrow. We're just going to fly right through this thing and get
right into it. And most of what we say is bullshit anyway. So we just kind of like yap at random topics and jump around. It works very well for us.
Yeah, totally. And most of it's just being hypercritical over people we'd probably
we don't know, and we don't know enough about.
Yeah.
We just judge them right at face value.
Yeah, exactly. I do way better in that situation than they're doing.
Yeah, I do that much better than that, than knowing the details of someone.
Okay, let's just go straight into the dates.
Yeah.
Because I have so they do the spa date, him and Michelle.
So Michelle's the first one.
Michelle's the first one.
Before we get into that, I want to know this, because this is something that hit me immediately, was like, what order do you want?
Oh, yeah. So this is
that's a big one. I went through it
games.
14 different ways of like, initially I was like, oh, I want that one. And I was like, ooh, no, I want the other one. Then I was like, ooh, like I thought of all the elements and I was like, there's a lot of different things that play into what number you'd want.
Well, I bet he thinks about it like a meal, where he's like, best for last.
Best for last. But
That's what I think.
Okay, but then there's the sexual part.
I know.
Which is like day 3. Now you're kind of like, okay, think about it like this. 3 months. And you've been pent up in a way, like you've been making out 10 times a night, hugging, falling in love, falling out of love. I mean, just drama, all this stuff. So you were just like, and then the first night too, is there a lot of nerves, a lot of, right? But then what if you have crazy connection with the girl sexually and then you guys do a couple rounds? So then you wake up the next day.
You're spent.
And you got to do the whole thing again. And then you got to do the whole thing again.
Mm-hmm.
So day 3, it's like day 1 is good for the girl because she gets like we're both nervous. We're both in it. Okay. It's a new experience for both of us. The person who gets the last is a little bit kind of like he's exhausted, both mentally, physically, everything. I almost feel like my conclusion was like, it's a bit of a hard one at the end, because
you wouldn't be able to fully recharge
in every way.
Proper. We're talking sexual attention,
and also mental. You're tired from
women.
2 full days of dates and filming and late nights, early mornings,
and you're expected to have the conversations you're expected to have the private conversations you don't have in front of the camera, of like drop all the bullshit and just be a regular ass person with them and like make mistakes and not worry about the fact that all of this is going to be represented to you on national television.
Yes.
It's like you get to just really drop your guard and let it down. So yeah, I mean, this is where I'm like, knowing who he picked and seeing how infatuated Matt was with Rachel through the whole process.
Right.
In my mind, I'm like, he's saving the best for last. That's the last taste he wants to have in his mouth. Like, you smash through your vegetables first. And then if you have like mac and cheese or mashed potatoes on the plate, it's like, oh, that's a tough call between like, what do I want to have in my mouth?
Do you think it was up to
What
him?
do I want to walk away with this meal feeling?
You're saying, okay, so do you think it was it up to him to choose?
Totally up to him.
Okay, so it's totally up to him.
Yeah, he's calling
I
the shots.
wasn't sure if
there.
that was like if that was a producer thing where it's like they want to build the tension because they maybe know he's vying for Rachel, so we want to kind of front load it to see if we can build the tension.
What he's missing though, or like what I think is the sort of catch is, if in his mind he is saving the best for last, he doesn't understand how those women are taking it. Because Michelle getting chosen first gets like, dude, she gets the first, like everything you're talking, she gets the first run at all of it.
The freshest of everything.
Mm-hmm. And in the girls' minds, they're probably like, wow, that's the person he wants to see the most.
Exactly.
And then the person he sees last, they're just like, sick.
Maybe second's the best one. Because you get all the nerves out.
What's the best term? What's the term though? We all know the term. Sloppy seconds.
Oh, that's true.
Getting Michelle's sloppy seconds there.
That's true. But then Rachel's getting sloppy thirds, which is then
and she was pissed about it.
She was. It was. I mean, listen.
She was legitimately upset.
Yeah. I didn't until this watching this to this intent didn't fully take into the account of how actually awkward and bizarre the situation is. Like, think about that first day when they all get in the room together and they're waiting for the letter of who's going to go first. And imagine just you and two other people being like, who is going to hook up? Who's going to have sex with my boyfriend or my girlfriend first? Because that's how they're feeling. Is like, they're both feeling like I have the biggest connection. So this guy or this girl is going to have sex with these other people before he gets to me or she gets to me. And then that person's going to walk back in the room after they just had sex and be like, hey.
Had a great time.
Yeah, it was awesome. Your turn. Like, that is so weird.
I'd be like, you're going to find out. Like, throw him on a curveball.
See, you would be, you get all cocky with it.
Be like, guys, like, he's, give him some, like,
mess with their minds.
Yeah.
And be like, well, I mean, I think we had a great time. Let's just say his mind got changed pretty intensely. I mean, I don't know what that means. I'm just saying that we had before and that emotion and then after, and he seemed majorly different.
Be like, it was nice. But maybe then that gives them all a bunch of, maybe it gives them all a bunch of confidence. Well, because it's like a movie.
You walk in and just go, honestly, that was unbelievable. And then they're like, wait, what?
Well, because, so I retract because think about like watching a movie where everyone's like, yeah, it's pretty good. And then you go in and you're like, expectations are pretty low. And you're like, dude, that was excellent.
Right.
I had a fantastic time. It was worth every penny. And when everyone's being like, oh my gosh, you have to see this movie. It's so good. Like, what was the musical movie with fucking Emma Stone and
La La Land?
Yeah, it's a shit movie.
I never even saw it.
It was garbage.
Yeah, but it was like 19 trash. Academy Awards. And
yeah,
just like,
everyone's like, this is so sick. And then you were just like, no.
You're like, this was a movie. Kind of self-indulgent.
Whatever.
Like all those movies are.
It was a super totally whatever movie.
But
their dynamic was way better in Crazy Stupid Love.
Right. Oh, that's true. That movie was really good.
Really good.
But yeah, I just thought like, man, that must have been so like we've normalized it because the show normalizes it. But like, imagine going through that with someone you feel like you're in love with. Like when you're falling in love, you're so raw that like that person you find out talking to someone else, you're like, wait, is everything okay with us? Like, what's going on? Or, let alone like, I'm going to watch the person who just had sex with him walk in and tag the other person.
Or what if you like beat him up if you were a girl, like scratch marks all over his back.
And then like, and then you get in there with him and his back's all ripped up and you're like,
hickeys all over the place. Like shit, he can't hide. Like his lips busted open. He's got like a black, like just like, I don't know. I don't know why.
We went insane. It was insane. I don't know. I blacked out.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not this is for the record. It's not like I want to be beaten up while I'm having sex with saying like
you're telling I think you're being honest about your own personal feelings.
You could do this. No, but imagine if you like you just knew that they were going to see it afterwards.
So you got to make a mark. You got to mark your territory.
Zap all their confidence.
You got to piss on the carpet.
Yeah.
Sexually.
Yeah.
Or and then
actually, all these girls are just beating him up and he's like, what the fuck? Like everybody's aggressive. He doesn't
know what they're actually trying to do. He just thinks like, I got some wild girls on my hands.
He's like, I kiss with my eyes open, but like, what the hell are these girls doing?
Yeah. He doesn't hit me as a big freak.
No.
He hits me as like I'll make love to you like a husband.
Matt seems like he's got a playbook. It's probably like 3 or 4 pages. These aren't printed double-sided. He's got 3 good plays. One of them takes up about a page and a half. And he's like,
Well, he did the ultimate, a little bit of a tell with Bree. And he goes, was that good for you? And that's a classic move of like,
if you need to ask.
If you need to say that, maybe there was a question in your head. Bree is a little bit like him though. Not super emotive. Doesn't show a lot of cards.
She was
there.
dropping crazy innuendos though.
During,
or like when they first met up, they were like putting up the tent, and he's like, "Man, like for a second there, I didn't think I was going to be able to get it up." She's like, "The tent."
No, sure, but I'm talking about post coitus.
Post coitus, yeah. I love that word.
Coitus, yeah. It's very underused. But she kind of mentioned, like, she was I will say this. I was thinking, I got to get the view of their faces pre-sex and post-sex. Because if someone comes out of sex and is like disheveled, it's like, oh, it looked like a good time. But if someone walks away just going, it was a nice night, you're kind of like, okay, maybe it was a little boring for you, but you love the person.
Yeah.
I actually felt like Bree looked like she had a good time. So you never know. They never showed Rachel. At the end of Rachel's date, it was just straight to the rose ceremony.
So this goes to my theory. This goes to my theory of like how many women he can really have in-depth feelings for.
That's the reality.
Versus to me, it's like, I don't think you can really have, I think it'd be really tough to have it for more than 2 women.
Yeah.
Like I can see encountering a fork in the road, but it's a 2-pronged fork. It's a steak fork. No one's actually, there's no trident here.
Yeah.
And I think there's always one person in the fantasy suite that's simply there.
Because you can't have 2 people in the fantasy suite.
Nope. You have to have 3. So you're going to pick the one that you're sexually attracted to the most.
So you think Bree was probably, because he let Bree go, so it was probably Bree who he was like, I think you're gorgeous, but maybe we just don't have the connection.
Dude,
but
at the end of it, he was like, yeah, I just don't have that with her,
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, pretty much. Michelle, he's like, yeah, I could see Michelle living the rest of my life with Michelle.
She's
wife material, 100%.
Material. Do you think it was a little bit between Michelle and Rachel, a little bit of like love and lust?
It is.
Where it's like, he kind of, because he would bring up, he would kind of say it, like, which is like, Michelle, I could totally see the rest of my life with. Michelle's like the perfect person. Michelle has all these qualities. And then every time he talked about Rachel, he'd be like, of course I'm attracted to Rachel. Of course she's a beautiful woman. Of course, you know what I mean? It was like, he kind of led with that always, as like I can't see past how much I'm attracted to her.
Yeah.
So I bet that was kind of tough, where he was like, I'm so wildly attracted to Rachel, but Michelle has all the qualities. That's probably where the struggle hit. That's what it felt like to me.
It's obvious. I mean, when you watch it, his mom saw it.
His mom saw that shit from a mile away.
She was trying so hard not to just call it out. And like, I was joking because I was joking with, by the way, everyone, Becca takes all of my best jokes. All of her.
She brings them in.
All of her best jokes are probably hers, but all of her like pretty good ones. Those are mine. Backups. Yeah, those are mine.
Okay.
But
you're a team. I like that.
I'm going to say, I'm just going to let you guys know. But his mom was like, you can see yourself with one of these women, right?
Right.
It was a very clear picture of the one in his mom's mind.
Dude, and let's be real. I mean, Michelle walks in and she just is emitting so much wifey material. Like, she's mature and she's got it together and she teaches children. And then like a 24-year-old walks in who's gorgeous and you know what I mean? And it's just you could, mommy had it all day.
Michelle
she's like, Matt, what are you doing?
She also broke mom down.
Oh, she was
by like this incredible description of her son.
Yes.
To be like, why are you in love with my son? And she's like, let me tell you all the reasons I'm in love with my son. And his mom was so proud of Matt in that moment.
Yeah.
And that's
she's like, that is my son.
Yeah. And then Rachel comes through with the like, God introduced us.
Yeah, like I prayed about it and God told me.
And it hit
and
this
she played into that chord a little bit.
It did. She played into that chord, but it's, not as strong a chord to me as being like, your son is literally my knight in shine. Like, your son is the most stand-up guy I've ever encountered in my life.
Because because what it's saying to the mom is, you did a good job.
You did a great job. You raised a man who's like, And
I loved the brother.
Awesome.
The brother killed me. Because he had
hysterical.
The grill.
Oh my God. I couldn't tell if
they
were real.
And I loved it too because
do you think the grill is permanent or was it?
I don't know. I mean, he didn't take it off in the show. So I guarantee you it was a vibe. What I liked about him was that he looked like Matt, but was an alter ego of Matt. He'd pull the girls to the side and be like, what are your intentions with my brother? What do you see in him? Mm-hmm. What about you? And so they both had the same personalities in like a very intense way, but he looked so different. It was amazing. I just loved it. It was like the two versions, and then the mom's in the middle being like this badass. So I thought it was like great, like
it was hysterical.
A great family
to see.
dynamic.
It was so funny to see. Like we see so much of Matt's mom with Matt.
But what I also liked about it too was like you could tell that's why the mom was a good mom. Because she had two sons that are so different, but yet both, you could tell, super stand-up guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I thought it was like really cool to have, usually families have just like, it doesn't work that clean. Usually parents don't know how to parent different types of kids. You know what I mean?
Usually it's always problematic.
There's always the one kid that gets a lot of attention and they know how to deal with that, and then they don't know how to deal with the other kid. But I love that there's two opposite energies going on, yet like mom had taken care of both, so like they were both just super stand-up guys.
Well, it's also it's to me it's like the pick your battles, like with your kids.
Sure.
Be like, oh, my kid wants to dye their hair blue. Be like,
right.
Yeah, you can put your foot down on that, or you could
embrace it and be like, my kid's different than this other kid's.
Okay, he's got blue hair, who the fuck cares? What the thing I'm more interested in is like, why are you lying?
Of course. But that's what I mean. Most parents don't know how to handle that. Most parents just go, there's one way of doing it, Or it could be the artistic parent that goes, if you don't have blue hair, what's your problem? Like if there's the accountant kid, but the parents are more like artistic.
They're like, loosen up.
They're like, man, you're so like, you need to chill out. Yeah. I want to talk about, let's quickly go through their dates.
Okay. Yeah. Cause the first thing I wanted to talk about was Michelle eating the fucking oatmeal.
Let's talk about the dates. Because that first date, and I just thought to myself, why do they do this? Because if you're trying to get someone in a good place to get physical with someone, so if they're your producers or whatever, and you're setting up, and I want them to get comfortable so that they can possibly get the fantasy suite going and be comfortable and kind of really take their, like, dude, you're putting them in the hick spa, okay? And it's flesh skin everywhere, right? We're talking like calf skin and all this like hardcore and like taxidermy on the wall. Milk as a bath. Real butter. And oatmeal.
Yeah.
Like gross.
I don't like the feeling of butter on my skin.
I don't like food on my body.
No.
When I'm trying to hang out with someone. Let alone just by itself. Like it
she
literally
tasted
just
the oatmeal, right?
No, well, she did that. She picked it and then like rubbed it on his face. He's like, "Oh, gross!" But it was like after their feet had been in it. But it was also like, welcome to the Thanksgiving spa. Like mashed potatoes, raw meat, and fucking beans, and you'll eat it and lay in it, and then afterwards, have sex in it. It's just like welcome to the Mayflower spa. Like it was so gross, dude.
Lather me up with a bunch of butter. Yeah, it was not. It was disappointing. But it's also, that's the whole point. Like they're constantly trying to put these guys on edge of like, hey, we're going to have a spa day. And you'd be like, oh my God, thank you.
Yeah.
Like so tense, just like, yes, let's go, decompress. Let me hit the plunge pool. Let me get in the sauna. Let me relax, give me a scrub down.
Spas?
Get all the dead skin off my body. Just scrub me, make me shiny like a penguin coming right out of the water,
Get my scales off.
And instead they're like, I'm gonna get you shiny like a fucking chicken ready for the oven. Just
it was
cover
so
you up
gross.
and dip you in. I'm gonna brine you in milk, and then cover you in butter.
That was a Chris Harrison move. He's like, this will be cool.
He's like, this will be hilarious.
They're gonna lose their minds on this one.
What a weirdo. But
I was expecting Tyler to come out at any moment.
Dude, 100%. He almost barged in. He's like, dude, this is insane. No. He was going to get Matt back.
That's what I was literally
and he's
thinking.
just like, dude, it was me joking. Got you, dude. And they're like, oh, you're insane. And they dab it up. And then all of a sudden, Tyler doesn't leave. And then he's just like, so what are you guys doing? You want to hang?
Yeah.
He's like, I brought the fucking drinks.
You guys want to hang, dude? I got some chiladas.
Yeah, I got some chiladas. Like, what do you guys like? Michelle, what do you like?
I already know what Matt likes because also Matt lives with me. So, whoever he chooses, like, dude, we already got bunk beds. We got him set up.
He was selling merch. He was selling merch with him and Matt on it. Like the night that Matt is crying about this hardcore issue with Rachel, he's like selling merch, being like, dude, me and Matt,
boys for life.
In Jupiter, Florida.
I wonder how their merch is doing.
I don't know, but I love it.
I think it is pretty
I'm
funny.
a big fan of that guy.
It's just
he's unbelievable. Okay,
Tyler.
And then Bree's date. Lackluster as can be.
Lackluster.
Do we have no budget
also,
anymore?
No, let's talk about this. This one stood out for me. So again, reason why Bree isn't even an option on the table for me in Matt's eyes as a long-term relationship is Matt spends the entire first portion of their date lying to Bree.
About what?
Just gonna put it out there. Camping. Matt's never been camping. He admits it on there. He goes, but I'm not gonna let Bree know that. He just puts up the facade.
Yeah.
You know what? And it might be light and fun and games. It might be a prank. It's called lying. And you don't lie to people you respect. And he could have been, I don't actually really know what I'm doing. He saved it to the end, but that's what he chose. He said, you know what? I'm going to go into this and I'm going to fool her.
Well, I just also thought it was so lame. It was like 4 logs, a clearing, and a small Costco tent.
They needed a GPS though.
Is that really? Is that the best you got? Like, where's like the designer? Where's like the person who could put together a dope looking situation?
Also, camping could be super sick.
If you did a glamping thing, where they had a gorgeous tent with the whole thing, and then they had fire, and they had a axe throwing
also,
thing,
if
just
it's
something
legit cold and you got to zip your sleeping bags up together, like
cute
camping could be very romantic.
But it was it was literally the most low budget version of a date you could possibly get. So like hiking 10 feet, and then they go sit down and they're making a fire, and it's like, okay, like that's our date. And they know the fact that Bree even admitted, she's like, I hate outdoors. I don't go outdoors. Again,
it's like this whole thing of like, hey, you've been looking forward to this whole time.
This is what you give us?
Punch you below the waist with this one.
Yeah, it was so lame. And then we had Rachel's date.
Where she starts off.
Which was Ghost, movie Ghost. It's pottery. She's tripping. Again, just kind of a date that you like phone in. It's like you went to, it's just like a place where they do thing. And then, I don't know. It's just, to me, it just felt very like, at least the Mayflower oatmeal and corned beef spa.
There was some sensual aspect.
It was also unique.
Also, she got to put hands on it.
There was hands on. It was warm. There was a fire. Like, it was gross, but at least there was a vibe. The other two were brutally lame.
Yeah.
All right.
Brutally lame. And then also, though, Rachel spends the majority of it trying to like really let him know, which I thought this was interesting, that she's like, if you were to propose to me right now, I'd say yes. She's like really, to me, trying to, like, Matt has tried to make it very clear up to this point how serious he is about this whole situation. And she keeps trying to like echo that back to him. At least that's something I picked up on in this date, was like, that's what she led with even before going into the fantasy suites. It's like, she doesn't need it. She feels very strong in her, relationship. And she's like, I'm ready to make this commitment to you.
Yeah.
Which I think for him is like, maturity.
Yeah.
Also, like, if there's one thing we've learned from the show, like in the history of the show, is at this point, the girls, whatever they have to be self-conscious about themselves in, that comes out in these episodes.
Big time.
Although though we didn't see anyone throw each other under the bus, but like that to me, harping on like how ready she is, to me was also like a big red flag of like how unready. In my mind,
it's like someone saying, I work hard. I work super hard. I'm sorry. I'm so busy. I'm always so busy. When in reality, it's like, if you got to talk about how busy you are all the time, probably not that busy.
Also, there's a saying, it's called work smart, not hard.
Duh.
Yeah.
But let's see. We're jumping all over the place. Sorry.
We are.
Sorry.
It's just where we're
broads.
going.
We're just absolute lunatics. We're not. There's no timeline for us. We're just, whatever pops into our head, we're start talking about.
Kind of like Tyler.
Oh! That's just like if I was Tyler's friend,
my go-to.
I just go, and you just know he'll be there like in an hour. And you just know he'll show up. That's like the bat signal for Tyler. Who do you think had the best date? I guess it would mainly be between Michelle and Brie because they didn't have any beef in the beginning. Like Rachel had issues, in the middle of it. But again, at the same time, man, that's the thing I think that works with Matt. Is it's the same thing that happened with the parachute thing.
Mm-hmm.
Was like Michelle and Brie and Serena all had like perfectly good dates. Right? And then Rachel fell and broke her neck. Oh, are you okay? This time she goes,
I'm still reeling from that. Like,
right.
whatever.
But it's drama. And then this time she goes, I'm not okay. We need to talk. What shakes him up?
Mm-hmm.
Like she kept shaking him up.
And it's also, Matt's got this whole narrative of like, the relationship's not going to be easy. Like this is the, like, the fun and games isn't the stuff you have to worry about. It's the rocky parts, and being able to work through that stuff.
Yeah.
To build a long lasting relationship is going to be like, they're always saying like, you have to pick someone every day.
Right.
Kind of shit. And it's like, she's challenging him, which I also think is like, it's really smart on her part to be like, it's not being agreeable in every single instance. It's not taking his side of things. It's not showing up and putting a smile on your face and making sure Matt has a good time. It's like, I'm pissed right now.
Sure. You shake up the monotony of the process.
It's
too,
transparency and it's communication in the relationship. And I think like to him, he's like, oh, that's great in his mind. I mean, obviously he thought it did. It worked.
Right. It worked. No, I mean, definitely was played well. Yeah, that was really hard because it also showed the maturity of the other women when it came to handling the jealousy of the situation. Like Michelle walked in literally after having sex with Matt and a great night and a great date.
Downplayed it.
And just walked in and said, you guys are going to have a great time with him.
That was really struck me.
That is the most mature thing I've ever heard in my life.
And she's like, you're going to have the time to get the conversations in that you want to have with him. You're going to be able to like ask the questions you've been waiting to ask. And at the end of it, like, you're going to have some like intimate time with Matt.
I mean, you're literally telling the other women who are fighting against you for him, enjoy yourselves. Like, that's the maturity level she brought.
Also, as like a regular person, like, good job.
I mean, amazing.
For the TV I want to watch, so boring.
No, like that's the problem.
Someone like Crystal.
It's not dramatic.
I want someone like Crystal to come in and like flip her hair and be like, good luck following up my ass.
Yeah, I just blew his mind.
Be surprised if there's anything left, or be like,
I think he has to go to the hospital, honestly. I think he has to go to the hospital.
Yeah. I don't know, if he's like, just hope that he doesn't have to spend too much time on his feet because
I broke him. Victoria, no, that's what I wish Victoria made it all the way.
Literally.
Because Victoria would have been like, actually, he's in the hospital right now because we broke every bone in his body last night. And yes, he did love it. And he did say that you guys are gross and he hates you. So anyway, have fun.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
We spent most of the time, Matt was just talking shit about you guys to me. And I was really like, wow,
Yeah. Matt was just telling me like that I am everything he's ever wanted. I'm his fantasy, and that like,
and he's the most attracted to me compared to you guys. Like, has been since the beginning. He said he wants to put a new tiara on my head, and it's pretty much done deal. Good luck, bitches.
Yeah, good luck. The only reason why you're here is a participation award. So bye. Like I do wish for like she would have come in and like. He would have been like, actually, why just come? It
was the best part of the Women Tell All was her highlight reel.
Yeah,
that was my favorite. It's still my favorite scene in Bachelor. Is her
unbelievable?
No, I won't stop, Katie.
Yeah, why are you so sensitive? Sounds like a problem you have. It's like a class. I mean, now we're not even in the same ballpark, but saying what she said is the equivalent of saying it's the classic. I'm sorry, you're offended.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes the other person you're fake apologizing to blood boiling mad.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you sensitive?
Oh, I'm so sorry you're sensitive because I mean, I didn't say anything wrong. So the fact that you're mad about it is a you problem. So I just had sex with Matt, blew his mind, never done anything like that in his life. And if you're jealous, sounds like you got a problem. You're sensitive.
Yeah. He told me many times that this was his first time doing this.
And then Tyler's like, that's right. I was there. I watched it. It was insane.
He's literally never done anything like that before.
I was passing them drinks the whole time.
We went through so many chiladas, you guys.
Dude, I was making mixed drinks, chiladas, whatever, dude. The whole thing. Just can't wait till my boy gets back.
Can't wait till my boy gets back. We take Miami by storm.
Dude, he didn't choose anybody. It's going to be insane for us right now.
Oh, for real though. Think about how much more merch they're going to sell.
Dude, it's the Miami boys.
I was literally joking that they do have bunk beds and that they pre-built Matt like a king size bottom bunk.
Yeah.
And Tyler still has a twin bed.
Yeah. And his feet are hanging off the edge.
Well, and he can also peer down and be like, hey guys.
You know he has a slide too?
Yes.
But there's a ladder and a slide. Okay. But he never goes up the ladder. He runs up the slide.
Yeah.
Because he can do that.
Every time.
And he's like.
And before he goes down the slide, he swings on the bar above it.
Yeah. Like.
And then drops like butt heavy down and just like slides down.
And while Matt was gone, he built a zip line out of the window into the pool.
Totally.
So he jumps. And he's like, dude, I'm going to trick this place out so when Matt gets back, it's going to be legendary.
And now he jumps off his bunk down onto Matt's bunk and then up onto his zip line.
And he tricked it all out.
Super tricked out.
And Matt's going to come home from like the whole Rachel incident being like super depressed, going through a whole lot, all the online, problems that he's going, that happened to him through this whole thing. And he's going to be sitting in the corner like super sad. And they're going to do like a camera on Tyler. He's like, my boy's bummed. My boy's bummed out right now, but there's only one thing that'll make him happy.
I smoke a Frappuccinos.
And he's just like, oh, let's go to Hooters.
I literally picture them like the Miami broed out versions of Zoolander
100%.
And his model friends.
They're in the Jeep and they're just like.
Yes.
And Matt's in the back just like, I can't believe now that I've spent some time away, I can't believe this is my life. And Tyler's just like, I've been waiting for you, man. Miami has not been the same without you.
Not.
Oh, man. My boy's back in town.
Everybody's trying to have like enlightened conversations and stuff. And like, I just trying to eat pizza with you, dude.
Dude, the carne. Oh my God, dude. We need to get Tyler on.
Also, though.
Okay.
Literally, though, what a power play. I mean, it's not really a power play. It's like Matt got to be the Bachelor and then leave without making a commitment. He's like, I don't actually want to get engaged to anybody. I just want to like casually date this girl.
Yeah.
And then leaves and immediately ends it with her. And he's just like, literally now him and Tyler are just like
the kings.
Yeah.
They got the followers. They're both like shredded and good looking. And they're just like, dude, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least that's what Tyler thinks. Matt's like, I actually would really like a wife and a couple kids. And Matt's he's like, no, man, it's Bachelor Eternal.
He's like, dude, I actually have like 6 therapist recommendations. Like, I think I'm going to explore a few of these.
Yeah. And Tyler's like, dude, you know what's kind of crazy to think about? We went on a show called The Bachelor, but we didn't choose anybody. Now our life is like the show. And every time we go to a club, those are all the contestants. Kind of crazy to think about. First of all, we all do this.
Except that we get like the keys to the fantasy suites every night.
Yeah, dude. Chris Harrison sent us the creepy letter that he sends to all of us every time. Dude, we go, hell yeah, brother.
Creepiest letter.
Creepiest letter. It's like, hello, your father here. Would you two like to enjoy each other physically?
You can have the keys to this exclusive room.
Yes. I'll be live because I lost my job on The Bachelor. I'll be live streaming from your room on OnlyFans. Make a little extra money.
So funny how that really flipped for him, where it was like, I'll be back. Like Chris Harrison's like, oh, I'm coming back. And then ABC's like, no, he's not.
Speaking of, how did you feel about his replacement?
He has his host cadence down.
The cadence is very down.
And tonight, we're going to welcome these two from the show back to talk about something heavy.
Up, down, up, down, up, down. Yeah.
I was like...
He killed it. I will say this. He felt like a real person. And that's what I liked about him a lot. He felt like a real person, and he was like asking great questions, and he was like, he was kind of getting in, and he would let, like, Chris Harrison would have never let the long, awkward silence happen.
No.
He would have like come on and this isn't good TV because he's like out of touch. But Emmanuel was like, I'm just going to let this sit.
Oh yeah. And
he created a moment.
He also literally took like all the questions that you like circulate social media, and like just those are hard questions to ask someone just point blank to their face, because there's so many. They're all traps. They're
all
almost
traps.
all traps. Did you feel
And
like
I
he
wanna
was
hear him-
flirting with Michelle?
I saw some people talking about that.
The second she walked on, he like forgot all his words.
He's just like, so what is your number?
Yeah, he's like, so you're gonna be the. He's like, so you're under contract with ABC because you're gonna be the Bachelorette. He's like calculating in his head.
He's like, I'm replacing him now.
He's like, so you can't be you technically can't be dating anybody before the show, but
I can maybe be on the show.
technically you just can't be in like a public relationship before the show. But you're definitely single right now.
But if you fall in love before the show, that might work. And we're back.
Yeah, that's exactly like that. At least I saw the wheels moving.
But yeah, I thought he killed it. I liked his energy, his personality. He was very comfortable. Right. I would imagine that's scary. This is like a
Becca
massive
thought
moment.
his suit was too small.
Yeah, but that's only because he's like shredded. You could tell he's like shredded, and shredded dudes like wear those kind of clothes because they're shredded.
So I was like, he'd look goofy if his suit fit normal.
He's
and
like-
Becca was like, no, he'd be just in a normal fitting suit. He'd look normal.
No, he's like an NFL guy. You ever see NFL guys wearing normal suits? It looks like they're wearing their dad's suit. Because they're so big and so shredded that if you put a suit on that's not fitted, it looks like they're wearing their dad's
Like it's
suit.
an oversized clown
like you ever
costume.
look at basketball players from the 80s, the big suits they used to wear. I mean, they looked like they were wearing clown
Draping,
costumes. Yeah,
just like-
because they were actually wearing appropriate non-fitted suits. But that doesn't work if you're shredded. You got to wear like a fitted suit, or else you look crazy. I thought the style was cool. It had like it was a good style. It wasn't the classic Chris Harrison, just kind of boring suit. I liked it. I didn't miss Chris Harrison for 1 second.
I gotta say, I didn't either.
I was wondering like, oh, how will it feel to have someone else in there?
No, dude, he's cringy.
And he was just you realize how cringy he is when someone normal walks in.
You realize how cringy he is when he goes back to the conversation with Matt when he's like, so how are you? And Matt's like, I honestly don't know. And Chris is like, well, like 3 days ago when I asked you this question, you were like pretty confident. Like, what are you going to not propose to
He was
somebody
pissed.
now?
He was on edge.
He was low-key. He was super mad. He was disappointed in
He
Matt.
dissed his mom too. Mm-hmm. Remember that?
He's like, so this the whole moment for you is your mom telling you that
like your mom really messed you up, didn't she?
Yeah.
Which basically he was saying, your mom messed me up. Because what I'm dealing with is another Claire right now.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to have another person not choose on my show because my show has results and my show has ratings. I don't miss him at all, actually. I mean, just even
Who
from
are
a
we talking
sentimental...
about?
Chris Harrison. Sorry.
Who?
Exactly. Tyler. Honestly, Tyler should have been the replacement.
Do you think?
And he's just like the whole time he's just going like this. Dude, we did it.
He's like, dude, you're about to go into fantasy suites with these girls.
He's like, what are you thinking about all this, dude? By the way, your mom's insane.
He's like,
her.
who would you choose? You want to know who I would choose?
Yeah, he's like, dude, we should go on a double date. He's like, you just let Bree go, right? I'll bring Bree. We're homies. I'll bring Bree.
You guys are friends too.
And we'll hang.
It was gonna be great.
And she's sitting there like so awkward. And he's like,
dude, I'll make bagel bites. I know you love them.
And by the way, we say all this making fun of in a way that we absolutely love Tyler.
We would hang with him.
I'm a massive fan of that guy.
Let's try to get him on here.
And I wouldn't want nothing more than to have Tyler on the show.
If you guys could just not DM, public comments.
Berate him and say, we love him, get him on here.
He needs to come on to our show. And mostly you need to say that he would love us.
Yes. We are his friends. By the way, his type of personality, a lot of my friends. I love guys like that. I want good time friends. He is a good time only guy.
I like clowns.
I just love good time onlys.
I like guys that are
Positive vibes, dude.
They're not afraid to embarrass themselves in public. It's like,
I got enough demons and serious things going on in my head. I need good times. That dude is a party.
Yeah.
Big fan. Okay, let's get into some not random, but let's get into some kind of extracurricular stuff.
Let's do it.
Got a couple kind of topics from the broads. who would you see yourself being with now that the whole thing is over? So if we were Matt, or let's say we just watched the season and we were to go, I think I could see myself ending up with her. Do you have kind of a rough, after watching it all?
I like the Canadian girl.
Serena.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Serena. Okay, I like that. What do you like about her?
I don't know. It's just
By the way, we got
vibes.
some hate for the Canada talk last time. Did you see that?
Why?
We got some hate. Canadians were not happy with us.
Fucking
They
whatever,
were-
dude.
they
Whatever.
were
Who
mad.
are Canadians? There's a bunch
They
of
were-
lumberjacks. Go
They
take
were
your-
mad, dude. I saw some comments and they're like, I love the episode. I was not happy with the,
Wow, dude.
with the Canadian hate.
Wow,
By the way, we didn't
Canadians-
hate on Canada. We just said
No.
like...
Also, like, are you newsflash? Like, we've been making fun of our goofy ass neighbors to the north forever, dude.
It's a
Like,
listen.
oh my god,
It's a friendly jesting, friendly jabbing. Which is so funny because like Canada's like gorgeous, chill. The people are amazing. Like obviously we're joking. Okay, it's a big joke because Canada's an amazing place. Okay, this is like making fun of a place that's actually we don't
also
like.
poutine. Have you had poutine?
It's great.
It's so
It's
good.
so good. The
It's
people
so
are
good.
amazing, dude. You take a drive. I've driven from like Calgary over to Vancouver. It's one of the prettiest drives you've ever been in your life. Like it's an amazing place. So chill. Okay. Oh, okay. Real quick, who do you think that Michelle and Katie? What kind of guy do you think they'll be into? I thought that was a good question.
So Michelle, opposites, to be totally honest.
Okay.
I think Michelle's looking for like Matt. So again, I'm going to build it off of Matt because Michelle just fell for Matt.
Yeah.
So typically she's probably not going to go for a guy who's like Matt.
Right.
Except the only thing that really to me that Matt is missing for Michelle now is it's just become clear as the season goes on. Like Matt has so much to work through in understanding like what he really even wants or needs out of a relationship. How like, because Matt wants to, he was focusing so much on being the supportive figure, but it's like, you need to be supported in being able to be that person.
Yeah.
And I don't think he necessarily knows how to receive that or if he's even aware of it. It's like, there's a lot like, you're just watching, he has his dad on there and you're like, dude, there's so much unresolved emotional trauma for Matt to deal with.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, you are not ready to let someone into that because you've been closed off for so long. Like you got to work on that.
And then with his mom too.
Yeah.
Like he was like hanging on her words. Like anything she would say, he would take as like, scripture. So it was like, you could definitely tell there's a lot going on there that I think he didn't even realize was there until he went through this process.
Totally. And it's like, I'm learning from and growing in my relationship with Becca, like that's not something you have to do it with this person.
Yeah.
And anyway, Michelle's going to look for someone who's got that shit sorted out. It's like he was a man in all, like Matt held himself at a high level. I think he's still like, he treated these women really well. I think he was honest the entire time. He was like, he was sensitive to all of their feelings. Like he conducted himself in a very stand-up manner, but I don't think it became clear to him until the end that he thought he was so ready.
Right.
And then, he told it to America. He was like, I'm absolutely not. I don't feel like I'm ready for an engagement.
Right.
I'm ready really more for like casual dating.
Yeah. He didn't, that was interesting. That was interesting because maybe he didn't really fall in love until right at the end. Because I would imagine like you would have figured this out a little earlier, but it was crazy to see him go through it with his dad and his mom for him to kind of truly realize like I'm falling deeply in love, but at the same time, it's really messing me up.
So first thing Michelle's going to look for is a career, a job even. Those are for starts. In my mind, I think Michelle is going to look for like a structured, regimented guy.
Got it.
Who's past like all his, I don't know, boyhoodness.
Gone.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Done with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, dude, I'm like, it's trippy to I've harped on it before, but watching Ari, where Ari says he's at in comparison to like him saying I'm ready for marriage is so different in demeanor, in the way in the conversations he asks, especially with the women's parents. It's night and day in comparison.
Yeah.
I think she's going to be looking for someone more on that kind of level.
Got it.
Who's like, doesn't just want to get married, but like, I want to sit down and have kids.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm looking for. Like, my bio clock as a guy is like, I want to be a dad. I want to be a dad yesterday.
Sure.
That's what I think Michelle is going to be looking for. I think Katie's going to be someone who's like, the type of career guy she's going to be into is the guy who like shocks you when he drops that he has like an actual career. You're going to be like, you don't do anything. You live at home in your mom's basement. And it's actually, he's like, no, I'm actually like a millionaire from day trading.
Yeah.
And now
Something
I just fuck
random.
around and play Call of Duty all day and like wear flip-flops, but like, you know,
like 8 years ago, I put $20 into Bitcoin and I forgot about it. And now I own 4 boats.
fucking cashed out on GameStop. Now I'm on
Right.
That's the dude Katie's looking for.
Okay. All right. I got that.
Is like, we can like party hard and then live like a very fancy lifestyle.
Got it. That sounds amazing, by the way.
Right?
That's the guy. That's the guy I'm looking for.
For real.
Okay. Here's what I think. I heard that the reason why Michelle is going to be the second Bachelorette is because she turned down being the first one because her class, she didn't want to miss out on class. So, to those of you who don't know, which is probably nobody, everybody knows this probably. When you become the Bachelor, the Bachelorette, or even a contestant, you get a lot of followers on social media. What comes with a lot of followers on social media is a lot of money to be made on such platforms. And then aside from that, brand deals. And then aside from that, hosting deals. There's a lot of money to be made when you go on The Bachelor and you're successful in The Bachelor. So she was top 2.
How many followers does she have?
I don't know, but
this is always interesting.
She's got a lot, I'm sure. So it's like she's got a new career, right? Anyone who goes on this show,
basically you have the opportunity to become an influencer.
You just have and just even the opportunity to kind of like reframe your life, right? Case in point, your lady, right? So the fact that she's like, and let's also be real, if you become then the Bachelor or Bachelorette, quadruple whatever you just had before.
Yeah.
So like now you're just at the top of the game, right? Like now, like you're millions of followers, you're super famous, you're on CNN half the week when drama happens.
I mean,
like you're
look,
as big
you
as it
walk
gets.
off the show with 200,000 followers, you have a career ahead of you on social media. You walk off as the Bachelor with 1.7 million followers.
Now you have 2 houses, 3 houses. Like you're rich. And so if you capitalize on it.
If you know how to, yeah.
And let's be honest, you have 1.3 million followers. You don't even know you don't even need to know how have to. You can just fumble through it and still make a killing.
They put it into your hands.
It's handed
the trade-off from going on the show,
which is incredible, right? So the fact that she says, "I'm gonna postpone it," and was even okay. And let's be real, they probably were like, she probably in her mind thought, if this is me saying no, they're just gonna say no, and she's like, "I'm willing to do that." So what my point is that Michelle can't be bribed with money. She's willing to say, yeah, my $50,000 a year job as a teacher, I care more about my students and their mental health and my connection than I do about money at the highest level. Because that was her whole thing with Matt, was like, I love the fact that he is trying to help people and that he has charities and he's interested in that. It was never like that he makes a lot of money or that he's super good at this or he's super buff or any of that. It was always his like philanthropy. So for me, I go, if you can't be swooned with money or anything like that, then you're kind of impenetrable when it comes to that. So I think that she's going to be looking for someone who's got a heart of gold. Like I could see her being like fantasy guy, world peace type guy. Like if a guy comes in with that mentality, I feel like that'll play really, really well for her because she's so interested in humanity and like helping others. So for me, I was like, that's kind of heart of gold. It's also kind of a lot of pressure for anyone dating her because it's like you're kind of talking to someone that's like, her mindset is very anti what everyone else's mindset is. So that'll be interesting to see if there's someone that can, if she's in the driver's seat, who can match to that level. Katie, I see her as wanting someone who is like Matt in that they're mature and they're adults, but definitely someone who's got that more like playful, fun vibe. Like, money's fleeting. Let's just spend it and have a blast. You know what I mean? Because she's a blast. So I could see her kind of wanting, like, she's mature, but she's also a good time.
She is.
So she's going to like, her head's going to be like, yeah, I think I want the super mature guy. But at the same time, I think she's going to want a guy that's going to be like, life's too serious. Let's have a good time.
No, she's going to want like a lake house and a pontoon boat and like spring break in Cabo.
Invite the friends over and let's have a good time.
Yeah.
So that's what we think about those ladies. I think it's gonna be great. I cannot wait for the Bachelorette. The Bachelorette's so much better, in my opinion.
I do too, and I also think. So I'm thinking about Michelle, and like you're an elementary school teacher. There's a lot of people in the world who still like tackle life the way they tackled problems when they were 10 years old.
Dude, how come I didn't have teachers like that? My teacher would like smoke cigarettes behind the back of the school and just be like, don't bother me. Like I didn't have good teachers, dude. I had the teachers
who like cared about you.
Yeah, I didn't have any teachers that cared about me. I think I had one in my how many years, 16 years of schooling through college too. It's like my teacher, I remember I walked into a professor once and he literally just goes, okay, this is a very hard class. 95% of you will fail, but I do not care. I have tenure. And I'm retiring in a year. So it's up to you whether you want to work hard and figure this out. But let me tell you this, I will not be grading on a curve. And it is what it is. That was the first thing he said when he walked in. And I remember just thinking like, everyone talks about like, oh yeah, this teacher and he nurtured me and he saw my talents.
And you walked in and this is
my
like,
teacher's
I'm
just
at
like,
the point in my
burn
career
in
where
hell.
I don't give a fuck about you or my career.
That was 80% of my experience in education was just somebody being like, don't bother me. I'm in the middle of a divorce and I hate you so much. And I was just like, okay, let's get through this. But then I had my other friends were like, oh yeah, Mrs. Anderson, she taught me everything I know. And I'm like, where was that for me?
I was the student who was like late to class every single day. And I had my professor who ended up being my advisor. His family trained seeing eye dogs.
I mean, already just like a nice guy.
I show up late, miss that whole speech. I walk in and I see a cute ass Labrador puppy just on the ground immediately.
Just like Malibu high.
Lewis and Clark in Portland.
I mean, is that a real place?
This is college.
Is that a real place?
Yeah.
Sounds like camp.
It was like a summer camp. College was like a summer camp to me.
Lewis and Clark?
Lewis and Clark Discovery.
It's a Discovery afterwards?
No. But I'm just saying, they were explorers.
That sounds amazing. That's kind of one of those colleges that sounds like really like there's like 100 people who go to it. It's really hard to get into.
We didn't have to wear shoes to school.
Stop.
Like you go in barefoot.
Stop.
I did all the time.
Now, was this like a college, or was this like a mushroom university?
I mean, we did a lot of that.
I went to college in Costa Rica.
It's a very much.
And I had a shaman as a professor.
It's a respectable college.
Wow.
It's up there in the liberal arts, like know.
Amazing. No, I would. Man, that sounds incredible.
It's in like the Lewis and Clark, Reed, Vassar, Bard.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. It's a good school.
That's amazing.
But I walked in late and I'm rolling around. I'm literally on the floor with this lab.
Just like vibing.
In front of the whole classroom. I was like, I literally walked in lit off my ass probably for it's the first day of class. It's orientation. We don't do anything but read the syllabus as a group. It's the biggest fucking waste of time in the world.
What grade are you?
Sophomore, probably. Confident.
What were you studying?
This was
What was your major?
religious studies and history.
Religious
so,
studies.
Formations, how religions formed
Whoa.
out of like you know.
No, yeah. I mean, I know what you're saying, but like that's really cool. Okay.
So my professor I missed the whole point of him telling everyone you can't interact with these dogs. They're seeing eye dogs. They're literally blind people's guides through the world.
Why would he bring them to class?
They
then?
can't.
You don't
stop
bring a dog
because
to
you
a
have
bunch
to
of
train them.
20-year-olds.
What a good boy dogs want to do when they see a whole bunch of people.
Play with everybody.
Exactly. So they have to teach them to be in rooms full of people and crowds and not seek pets.
And what do a bunch of good boys and girls at 19 years old want to do with dogs?
Roll around on the
play
floor.
with the dog.
He's talking about how detrimental this is to the training. I walk in late and I'm literally on my hands and knees rolling around on my back with this puppy. And then he's like, oh my God. Like, who are you?
And he was cool with it though.
Oh, hey, I'm just,
shoes
of
on.
course, I'm like, hey, it's Grayston. So sorry.
Sorry, dude.
So sorry I'm
Whoa.
late. Oh my God, your dog's
You
so
were a baby
sick.
Tyler.
Yeah. He's like, and then
Wait,
he's
this
like,
dog, this class comes with dogs?
he's like, you can't touch the dog. Like, you can't pet the dog.
You
I
see
was
that
like,
vest?
what? Immediately he has to repeat the first. By this
'cause
time,
you're
like
late, 'cause you're
25
late.
minutes of class had been wasted.
Oh, so not only did you...
You're welcome.
Yeah, not only
That's-
did you interrupt the class because you're late, you then interrupted it again by playing with the dog.
Yeah, and then making
Incredible.
him repeat the entire like the first part of class, which was just these were skills, tangential skills, like diverting a teacher.
Yeah. Oh, so that you could waste the time so that they end up, I guess it's time to go. You know what? We had a very different experience. I studied finance.
Yeah.
Okay. In corporate finance. And let me be honest with you, there was no dogs. Okay. There was no shoes. Okay. There was a lot of people in there who were obsessed with money and obsessed with how to climb the corporate ladder.
Yeah.
It was a very different animal. And half my classes were people who were mathematicians who hated people. And the reason why they got into that business is because they hate people. And they realized, well, I could just kind of have this job that takes care of me for the rest of my life called being a professor. So by the way, not only do I hate people, I hate 20-year-olds more than any other type of people. But now I'm stuck teaching them. And that was my teachers half the time. Very few were interested in actually nurturing 20-year-olds. They were like, how do I get to a level to where I could literally fail every one of them and I wouldn't care? And that was, and I really wish now that I went to Lewis and Clark, and this is something that I'm going to have to take up with my parents and be like, why couldn't you have guided me?
So our freshmen, you know how everyone had their freshman orientation class where it's like, this is an essential credit you have to take to graduate. Ours was called Exploration and Discovery.
I mean, dude, I'm so jealous. It's unbelievable.
It was so stupid.
This sounds amazing. I bet like everyone was friends and it was a hang.
I mean, there's 2,200 kids at my college. And there
was
was
like 25,000.
What was it? Our graduating class was like 200.
That sounds incredible.
I mean, it's crazy except my high school graduating class was 1,000 people.
Right. So it was weird to go smaller.
It was smaller than high school. So that's why I was like, it's very much summer camp vibes.
That's cool. And you're in where? Washington?
Portland, Oregon.
So you're already in camp vibes anyway.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I wish. That sounds incredible. That was definitely not my experience. And I resent you for all that joy you had.
I mean, dude, if I had gone to a state school, I'd be like, I would have flunked out of college for sure.
Right. I mean, here's the deal too, is that everyone has this assumption you should go to college. It's like, dude, I studied finance. I went on one job interview and I got the job and I never went to the first day of the job.
Why?
Because I was like, I hate this.
Yeah.
I appreciate the skills I learned, but this is a nightmare. Get me out of here. I got to leave right now.
See,
and then I was doing music, and it was like I was doing music during the whole time I was doing finance anyway, getting into it. But I look back and go, man, like, you know what I should have done? I should have moved to LA when I was 18 and started doing what I'm doing now, like at 18, instead of like postponing what I knew I really wanted to do. And that was the thing of like, I did what I was supposed to do, which was like study finance.
Well, this is also a difference in my mind state at the time was like, I have no idea. I'm not going to burden myself with the anxiety of picking the subject I'm going to learn in college based on the career opportunities it's going to open for me in life.
Right.
I was just like, it's the very first time in my entire scholastic experience where I get to choose what I'm learning. And that was like a very liberating feeling for me, where I was like, I'm going to study whatever I want.
Wow, that's cool.
The biggest bummer was that by the time that I realized there's actually a big paleontology program.
And you kind of, now that you look back, you're like, I probably should have done that.
Well, they only offer it in the summer. And by the time that I knew the school offered this paleontology program, because Eastern Oregon, there's like a lot of dinosaurs that they unearth over there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you had to have taken like all these natural science prerequisites. I'm, of course, in the humanities department, so we were just more like, can you read and write? Boom, stamped A-OK. The other one is like you had to know math and stuff, and I was like, I don't want to do that.
It's funny looking back on that, because I was raised very much not that way. Like, it was like college is practical. Like, there is this is your entrance into college. You talk about like, oh, I get to choose whatever I want to learn. No, that was not what my brain was saying or what I was told. My brain was, you got to choose something that will make you money. That's all that matters.
Well, it's not necessarily what I was told. I remember calling my dad.
That's what you thought, whatever it was.
I was just like sick, I called my dad, and I remember sophomore year, I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. I don't know why I'm doing any of this stuff. Like, what am I going to do? Go into a career in this? Like, no, I'm not going to become a professor. And my dad was literally like, you better figure it the fuck out, or like, I'm pulling you out of college. Like, why are we paying for you to go to, like, why are you calling me, telling me that you have no idea what you're doing up there? He was so pissed at me.
Oh, I get that though.
I totally get it. It was
if
like
you're
a
like,
moment
I
of
know
like,
how much he's paying for whatever,
real.
and you're like, wait a second, you're just fucking around in the
this
woods?
Was like, yeah, this was like, this is where I called my friend who's at another school and griped to him about this. Don't call my dad, who's like paying for me to go to school, to just fucking get high.
So when I look back, I go, man, it would have been so much cooler to like go to some college where like I lived and I wasn't working as much, and like I could just meet all these friends and hang out. Instead, it was like working, school, and I like grinded college out. And I look back and I go, that was 4 years of just like grinding. And I was just like, I could have like met so many fun people. I could have been doing mushrooms in the woods like my boy Gray. And it's like, that could have been so epic. And I'm like, because I didn't, I just kind of grinded out the proper way. And now I'm like, damn, dude.
We're
like,
pushed into doing all of these things without like the sense of like self-discovery.
Right.
So like there's, I don't know. I just think we're rushed through a lot of the most like formative periods of our life, focusing on like how the time we're spending at that moment is going to set up security for ourselves later.
Right.
But what it ends up doing is just like it's like I don't know, it's like setting you up for like a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
In my mind, it's like you're better off taking a year off of school, or like exploring trade school options, or like go to community college and take your prereqs and get a part-time job and fuck around. And then be like, oh, actually, like, I don't want to do this. I'm way more interested in this. Travel, go outside of the country.
Sure.
Like,
and that's why I'm grateful for music, because music gave me all the stuff I didn't get in college. Like, I got to tour the world. I got to, play shows. I get to just wake up every day and make creative shit all the time and have that be my career. And like, go to parties and meet all sorts of interesting people. So like for me, the post-college saved me from all that post-college like regret of like, oh, I didn't get to experience life. And it's like, I got to experience it like right after college by going into the music industry. So that was cool. But I think about like, man, like if I wouldn't have, I totally get why people like at 45 years old just snap and buy a Harley and divorce and just leave everyone, because it's just like, if you never got that out of your system, if you never tried things, if you never just kind of like recklessly lived for a while, it's like, dude, you'd lose your mind.
well, it's like you don't learn how to sit in the driver's seat of your own life.
No.
It's like part of that is making mistakes and crashing your car.
Yeah.
Like, I love these metaphors, but like you do need to sit, you need to fuck up. You need to like not do, I mean, this is a crazy like point of like privilege to be talking about this one, but it's like, not if you get an opportunity, like full scholarship, so you should probably take that.
Absolutely.
But, like if you do have the option to explore, you should definitely, in my mind, that would be my advice, is just like take 100%. Your time and explore and fuck around and make mistakes.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is this is so off topic and I don't even know what the hell we're talking about. I think we're just
love
drinking
it,
in the
dude.
middle of the night right now.
This is just the Chilada right now.
This is the Chilada podcast brought to you by Vodka
This
Sodas.
is Chatty Bros, dude.
But to wrap this up, like that's when I think about Ember, I go, oh, what I'm gonna do for her, at least to my best of my ability, is I don't want her to waste too much time, but at the same time, I want her to be able to experience life. So I'm going to empower her to go after something that's exciting to her instead of like the right thing. So it's like, if she's really into something that maybe isn't a college thing, I'll be like, don't go to college. Like start a business, like work on something. I'll help you with that. Like, let's take the money that we would have put into college and put it towards a startup that you want to rip, or a couple, or you want to take some overseas courses to do something cool. Like,
and then take that experience. Take that experience and like dissect it and figure out like now that you've done something like that, how do you see yourself like wanting school to aid you in future endeavors?
Which is like when you're 30, if you were to go to school right now, it'd be a very different situation.
I'd like take 19. It seriously.
Well, you'd go for a reason.
Yeah. To me, it was like an extension of high school. It was just like, ugh.
Well, and let's also be honest,
again.
half of your college is bullshit anyways, because you're taking classes you hate that have nothing to do with what you're actually studying, all sorts of that stuff. Anyway.
All right, we gotta wrap. I have to pee so bad.
We love y'all. We are so excited for this new dynasty. I guess you can call it a dynasty. I guess you can call it a kingdom.
What do we have? We had the Persians. We had the Greeks. We had the Arabs.
Romans.
Before all that, there was the Chinese. There was Romans somewhere in the middle of all that. I don't know.
Now
you've got
the broskies.
The bros, dude. Let the bro dynasty reign.
We drink at night and talk about reality television. And we're here to stay.
Cheap beer and cheap liquors mixed with fruit juice.
And get Tyler on.
Yes.
Call him.
Text him even. Text us his number if you have it.
If you know him, get him on here. We got a chair right there for him.
My guy.
Or a Skype. We could Skype him in, whatever.
Yeah, we could.
But peace and love. What's next? I don't know what's next, but we're gonna get into it. Whatever's
There's
next,
more.
we're getting into it.
They got bachelors just
we
running
got all
up.
sorts of stuff. We got
you
Paradise.
Let us know.
We got all sorts of good stuff. So keep hitting us with the good questions. Thanks. Anytime we post, you guys hit us up with great questions and comments, and we love y'all. We love you Canadians. We love everybody.
Oh yeah, that's true. We do love for Canada.
Love for Canada forever.
More love for the US, but Canada, you're sick.
Chat soon.
Chat soon.
Chat soon. Peace.